Welcome back to Upcycle It. Today is part 2 of rag rug making. Last week we showed you how to cut the strips and prepare them for making your own rag rug. Today we're going to use the rag rug tool that you made last week. We are not using the crochet hook. We'll go over that next week. In order to make the rug with the tool, you'll need 2 separate strips of fabric throughout. One will be your core, and that part will not be seen. And the other is your knotting cloth, and that part will be seen. So it's up to you which you decide to put as the core and which as the exterior. I liked the subtle pattern on the cotton, so I went with that. You start by making a knot in the top of your 2 fabrics to hold them together. Doesn't have to be fancy, a quick overhand is fine. You'll then pin the top of that to an available soft surface. It can be a tablecloth like I'm using, a pillow, your bedspread, anything that works for you is fine. You'll separate the 2 fabrics. The knotting fabric should always stay on the left, while the core fabric goes straight. Once you're all set up, let's start knotting. Knotting is a repetitive motion, so once you get the hang of it, it's the same motion over and over again to make the rug. We're going to start with the knotting fabric on the left and create a figure 4 over the core fabric. Take the end of the knotting fabric and pull it through, under the core and through the loop. You don't want to make it overly tight as you're going to pass your tool through this, but you don't want it too loose either. You'll get the hang of it, and if it takes pulling it out once or twice, that's okay. That's what practice is all about. We're going to do 4 knots like this. Here's the second. And then the third, again, we make the figure 4. We pass the end through and under and through. And cinch it up a little. So we have 3 knots now. And we're going to make the 4th. This will form the core of our circular rug. Once you have those, you can release the pin. Now that you've unpinned your fabric, you're going to take the tail and create a circle. Use your pin to hold that in place. We're now going to take our tool and pass the end of our knotting fabric through the eye of the tool. You want to leave a couple inches hanging out, not too much. Now, making sure that your fabric still creates a figure 4 over the core, you're going to put the rounded end of your tool through the first knot, under that flannel, and then up through the loop. For the first round, I suggest putting in 2 knots in each one so that you can help with the round shape. Because we are making a circle, you will need to increase as you go along, which means that every once in a while you're going to put 2 knots in one space. The best explanation I've seen for this, that doesn't involve sitting there and counting every knot, is when you feel that there's a large gap between knots, put in a second knot. You'll do it more frequently in your earlier rounds and less frequently as your rug gets bigger. All right, so we're making sure that we are catching both the core fabric and knotting in the regular. So under the core, up through our loop, and pull. So we have 1 more to do to complete this round. It may seem a little awkward at first, especially when you're working with a small center. Once this gets a little bit bigger, it actually becomes much easier, and you'll find that you can sit with it in your hands, in a chair, and just simply do the knotting. Okay, So we've completed one round and it looks like we're going to need new fabric. So I'm going to take another strip and just like we did last week, pass the end of the new strip through the slit in the old and then pull the end of that strip completely through its own top. This will give us more to work with. You'll be replacing the knotting fabric much more frequently than the core fabric. The core fabric will last quite a while, depending on the length of it to start, but you won't be using as much as you do the knotting fabric. So let's start on the next row. So once again, we have the knotting fabric going over. We have our core fabric laying down. I'm going through the knot and through the center of the knotting fabric. You may notice as you are working that your fabrics begin to fray. This will happen. You can go through and clip all of those little frayed areas when you're through or as you're working, whichever makes you happiest. As you use your piece and it becomes washed, you'll have less of the fraying. Okay, sometimes you may want to pull the core fabric a little tight. Now that I have a few knots in my second round, I'm going to remove that pin that was holding it together initially. There's no need for it anymore. You'll keep working around and around in your circle. You'll keep working around and around until you get the size that you're looking for. Something a little smaller could work as a lovely rug mug. Next size up could be a table trivet, all the way up to a regular throw rug. Really, it's up to you and what fabric you have. Don't be afraid to switch fabrics, colors, everything to give your piece more interest. So you've been working and working on your rug, adding rows and rows. This is one that would be about the right size for a table trivet. You can keep going on this and create a rug or anything you desire. You will find that you'll have some fraying, so you can just take a scissor and clip that. That's fine. If you have any questions about the rag rug making, please note that in the comments below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I also promised that we would begin a starting chain for the crocheted rug version. So if you'd like to see that, stay with the video. Otherwise, have fun with your rag rug. Be sure to send us pictures of your finished product as well. We would love to see them. If you're going to do the rag rug crochet, you're going to want to have your fabrics cut and put together. It makes it so much easier. You'll start with an overhand slip knot and pass your crochet hook through it. Once you've done that, you want to hook the fabric and pull it through the loop. You'll continue doing that. Hook the fabric and pull it through the loop. This is a starting chain and it's the basis for everything crochet. Without this, we're not going to do anything. Our crochet rug is going to be a square or rectangle. So we're not going to be doing increases and we're not going to be doing circles. So practice on your chains and join me next week for crocheting a rag rug.